Okay, let's do a couple more practice problems. So on page 31 of your packets, we're going to do number 6, 7, and 8. So 6 says an important characteristic of exponential decay is the time required for the decaying quantity to fall to 1/2 of its initial value. So that's saying this, and this time is called the half-life. So this is the amount of time it takes for a substance to become half. So if you start out with, think of it in a simpler example. If you think about in a simpler example in every day, you have 10 pieces of chocolate. How long does it take for you to only have 5 pieces? What is the half-life? How long does it take for you to eat half of your stash of chocolate? So this is the half-life. When it comes to radioactive substances, the half-life is very important. So a radioactive substance decays exponentially with a half-life of 500 years. Okay, so it takes 500 years for a quantity of a radioactive substance to become half. After 1,500 years, so this is how much time has passed, what percent of the radioactive material remains? So we're saying that 1,500 years have passed. And it takes 500 years for a half-life. So how many half-lives have passed in this time? Well, I do 1,500 divided by 500. So there's 3 periods where this substance has been in half. So if we think about it, if we start off with 100%, so this is our start and our end. So we want to figure out what percentage is left at the end. This is our goal. Okay, so we know that 1 period passing, so at 500 years, there will be only 50%. After 2 periods, so this is 1,000 years, there's half of what there was after the first period, so it's 1/2 of 50%, so that's 25%, and the end is our 3 periods, so that's our total 1,500 years. So we again take half of the previous percentage and you get 12.5%. So number 7, the Booster Club raised $30,000 for a sports fund. Okay? No more money will be placed into the fund. So it's just $30,000 in the fund and that's all they have. Each year, the fund will decrease by 5%. So they're taking out money each year by 5%. Determine the amount of money to the nearest cent that will be left in the sports fund after 4 years. So after 4 years, each year they're taking out 5%. They want to know how much money will be left in the fund. So this is exponential decay. So we're going to have to use this formula, okay? So y is equal, so if we think back to our general formulas, if you want to write that out first, y is equal to a times y minus r to the t. So this is our general formula, and we have to plug in what we already know. So we know that our a value is equal to 30,000 because that's the initial amount of money. We know that r is equal to 0.05 because remember, even though it's 5%, we have to convert it to a decimal. And we know that the time that we're dealing with is 4 years. So we're looking for y. Okay, so now we just plug in. So y equals 30,000 times 1 minus 0.05 to the 4. Remember, it's minus because we're dealing with exponential decay. So this is 30,000, that's the 0, times 0.95 to the 4th. And when you plug that into your calculator, you'll get 24,435.1875. But look back at your question, because it asked you determine the amount of money to the nearest cent. So I'm going to have to round to the nearest hundredth spot. So look next door. Okay, we're closer to 0.19, so my final answer will be $24,435.19. So that's the amount of money that is left in the sports fund after 4 years. What is that? Sorry, my thing decided the box was going to cut off and I didn't want that. So this is saying that after 4 years, where people are taking 5% out of the original $30,000 each year, you'll have $24,435.19 left. Okay? Let's look at number 8. The value Y of a $15,000 investment over X years. Okay, so we're given the original, we don't know how many years, is represented by the equation Y equals 15,000 times 1.2 to the X divided by 3. So they give you the equation, and they're asking, what is the profit on a 6-year investment? So this is your T value. Or in this case, they're calling it X. So the first thing that you always want to do when you're looking at a problem, what are they asking you for? What does profit actually mean? Profit is the amount of money that you make. So you're starting with $15,000. So when you find your end amount of money after 6 years, you have to subtract that $15,000. You didn't make that much money. That you already had that much money. If you have $10 and you put it in the bank, and then let's say after a year you have $20, you made $10. You didn't make $20. You started with 10 and you add on an additional $10. It'll make more sense once we actually solve. So we are given our equation, Y equals 15,000 times 1.2, and they tell us to plug in 6 divided by 3, and so when you solve, you'll get that Y is equal to $21,600. So this is the amount of money that is left in an investment account after 6 years. But again, they're asking for the profit. Did you make $21,600? No, because you had to initially have the $15,000. So to find the profit, you have to subtract $21,600 and take away the original $15,000. And you'll get $6,600. So for number 1.